Deepak Chopra is telling him that you are what you think, what you eat, and what you do. Like that's who you are. That's your life. Diabetes is maybe one of the most common disease in the world today. The gift of white foods is diabetes and obesity. White foods, or everything which is white, and is processed, is the killer. Now kids don't do anything. They just sit on the screen time. And we complain about Mr. Zuckerberg. Well, he's not the cause of it. Well, partly he is.
Our topic is
nutrition.
Nutrition. Food. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another session of the Dr. Joy podcast. We think that the next 9 episodes are going to be transformative in your life. We're asking you in the next 9 weeks to do some things that maybe you haven't done before in your life. And we're hoping that as it rounds in, because it will be going into the new year, we're hoping that you're going to start the new year right with us and with JoyScore and really see some changes in your life. But I want to start today. First of all, I want to say hello to Steffi, our social media superstar director. I know you're a little under the weather, but I'm going to make you feel better.
Thank you.
In the next 30 minutes or less, I'm going to make you feel better.
Okay.
And it goes without saying, the person who put this all together, the smile, the peace, the joy, Aries the Ram, Professor Joy. How are you, Professor Joy?
Thank you so much. He announced to everybody what my sign is now.
I did. Well, that'll save people who come up and see you in a restaurant or something, and they may want to hit on you.
Right.
One of the old ways you used to hit was, what's your sign?
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So, yeah.
They can just come now and say, hey, I know your sign.
I want to start off with a couple of quotes and see if you can kind of tell what our topic for today is. You ready?
Yep.
Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. It's a very famous proverb. You are what you eat. One cannot think well, love well, sleep well, if one has not dined well. If you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. That's Mother Teresa. A recipe has no soul. You, as the cook, must bring soul to the recipe. Food. There is no love sincerer than the love of food. George Bernard Shaw.
Wow.
Our topic is
nutrition.
Nutrition. Food. And why the heck are people eating white food?
So years ago, before I started JoyScore and everything, I was listening to one of the interviews between Deepak Chopra and Tony Robbins.
Oh, I bet that was interesting.
Yeah. So Deepak Chopra is telling him that you are what you think, what you eat, and what you do. Like that's who you are. That's your life. 3 things: think, eat, do. So what you're talking about is in the center, and it kind of relates to JoyScore's mind, body, and life. And this book that we are now planning to do the 9 chapters from is actually called Health Score. So we did JoyScore. We kind of can, if you use trilogy, JoyScore is mind, Health Score is body, and Earth Score is life. But now we're going to be focusing on Health Score.
Health Score. Exactly. And so what are white foods or refined foods? Well, there are things that people love but just aren't good for them. We're talking about white bread, we're talking about white rice, white pasta, white sugars. And these are foods that are often associated with having a long shelf life.
Do you know when it started, white foods?
I do not.
50s. So this actually started in this country when the food manufacturers found out a way to process everything. And the more you process, the worse it is for your human body. But the better it is for them in terms of creating taste and addiction to it. So the first thing you mentioned, white flour. So they found a way to take the flour and create white flour from it. So now white flour is not as good as regular flour.
Right.
The same way white sugar. We have raw sugar and white sugar, brown rice and white rice, brown wheat and raw wheat. So everything which is white is what harms you. Now, they have found correlation between the time they started changing everything to white foods and diabetes. Now, today, I think I'm right in saying that diabetes is maybe one of the most common disease in the world today, because everybody eats processed white food, and it's not good for you.
No.
And the way white foods interact with your blood sugar, body blood sugar, is different than raw. So if you were to eat brown rice, brown bread, brown sugar, the glycemic index of those brown foods is better than the white foods. So the gift of white foods is diabetes and obesity.
Thank you for saying that, because I was just going to say, just 4 days ago, Professor Joy, the New York Times printed an article. 3/4, 75% of U.S. adults are now overweight or obese.
75?
75.
No, that can't be true.
3/4 of U.S. adults.
Really?
Really.
And just a few days ago, I don't know which day, it was determined, or it was given the name Diabetes Day. Just
right.
Just
we just posted it on our social media.
We did. Just a day or two ago,
yeah.
I saw that. I sent it to Ratan to look at it. And Diabetes Day.
How sad is that we have to have a diabetes day?
Everything that you mentioned is something like households have, like a staple. Like every night they will have one of those.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, name a meal that doesn't come without rice, bread, pasta.
Right.
And those white foods, or everything which is white, and is processed, is the killer.
So, Professor Joy, here from the New York Times article, the study, which was published Thursday in The Lancet, reveals the striking rise of obesity rates nationwide since 1990, when just over half of adults were overweight or obese, and shows how more people are becoming overweight or obese at younger ages.
So the age is moving down.
Exactly right.
Exactly. There are two reasons for that, Professor Metzger. One is food, and the other one is screen time. Because, look, when you and I grew up, we used to go out and play. We had to. I mean, that was the part of recreation. I played soccer, I played cricket, I played hockey, and I enjoyed those games, I wasn't very good at it, but I enjoyed playing them. Now kids don't do anything. They just sit on the screen time. And we complain about Mr. Zuckerberg. Well, he's not the cause of it. Well, partly he is. But it's not just generic social media. It's what we do with the social media, the algorithm. I was just thinking about it this morning because we have people at the gym who argue about everything. And now the argument is going on about Donald Trump and Elon Musk and on and on and on. And I still have my 7 favorite threats to human society.
You do still have it?
Yeah, I still have
even post-election?
Yes.
Okay.
And the rating number 1, the guy on top of everything is Zuckerberg. Okay. Number 2 is Elon Musk. Now Donald Trump has become 3. We're going to have shit show for 4 years now.
Right.
He's electing people to be in the cabinet. Based on what? Loyalty, not qualification. Because there was a presidential historian who was talking about that in the history of presidents of United States, presidents were the namesake figures, people who they worked, people who worked for them were the ones who ran the country. Those were the brains behind presidency. This guy is selecting everybody based on loyalty. Who's going to be more loyal? Who can he benefit from more? Oh my God, this is so bad.
It's going to be very interesting.
And then you have Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi, and Netanyahu. These are all the 7, in my opinion, criminals. I just found out.
What's that?
I was talking about in one of our meetings that, let me ask you this as a question. What are the 3 things which have run the world? Historically, I mean like thousands of years, what has run the world?
Money.
3 things, huh? Money.
Power.
Okay. Power. 3rd, come on. Steph, you.
Money. Power.
Sex.
I was going to say respect.
Sex.
Yeah.
Sex.
Sex. S-E-X.
Money, power, and sex. Okay.
So, this is how the world has value, and the wars have been based on that, Then you go down the list, you bring in religion and all many other things, but those are the top 3.
Yeah.
Like the 7 threats to human society are the 7 names I gave you.
Right.
But the 3 things that these people... Now, why did I say what are the 3 things? Money, power, and sex. So these 7 people that I talked about, that's what they are. They're based on those 3 elements of greed. More money. When the employees of Zuckerberg, I'm sorry, I shouldn't destroy his name. He has a beautiful name called Zuckerberg. He likes that so much. So they said, sir, our algorithm in Facebook and Instagram is hurting young people. He said, I do not give a fuck. I'm the Zuckerberg. I need to make money. The richest man in the world wants to make more money. I mean, where is the end to the greed?
Exactly.
There is no end to the greed. 20 years ago, I stopped making money, and I've been working on JoyScore to help others. But anyway, so you are what you think, eat, and do.
Exactly. I have one other great example I want to share with the both of you that I always talk about in one of my classes, and that deals with public relations.
Right.
There are two people, Steffi, at least in the United States, who are considered the fathers of public relations. One of them was named Ivy Lee, Lee, and the other one is Edward Bernays, who was a cousin of Sigmund Freud.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Bernays used a theory called engineering consent to persuade people to use a product. Years ago, the Pork Council of America came to Bernays and said to him, "We're not selling enough pork. Can you help us get the word out about pork?" Up until that time, when they came to him, nobody ate bacon with breakfast.
Oh, interesting.
He convinced the country that bacon and eggs should go together for breakfast.
Wow.
And that's how pork became, for good or bad, became a staple of the American breakfast.
You know, in 98, I went to Harvard Business School OPM program. It's a 3-year program because I had 9 companies and had never taken any business classes. So someone suggested that I better do that because I have too many companies now. So I said, yeah, it makes sense. So I go there and I had this. So I had been, at that time, I had been a professor for 20 years. And I go in and they had 6 top-notch professors of Harvard Business School teaching this program. One of them was Dr. Barnes, and he limped when he walked, and 70 plus years old guy, And he just amazing. He was my favorite guy, as a professor, And he walks in to the class and say, "Good morning, pigs." So what the fuck is he calling us figs? We are like some of the most successful people in businesses and you name it, And some people in the class were representing billion-dollar companies, And he said, "Don't get upset. I'll tell you the story." So he said, "Well, it goes like this. There was a pig and a chicken. They were good friends. And every Sunday morning they went for a walk. That was their routine. And one day they're walking down the street Sunday morning and they see lights on in a restaurant. And this is a grand opening special. And they said, 'Grand opening special, ham and eggs.'" So chicken starts dancing, I said, "Oh, my God, look, my name is there. Eggs. I provide eggs." And he looks at the pig and says, "Why are you so sad about it? Your name is up there too." I say, "Yeah. Good for you. You make a contribution. I have to make a full commitment."
I love that.
So
That's
he
funny.
said, "You all are the pigs who are committed in your businesses." It was so interesting, You kind of make. So
That's
this is
great.
how, when you talk about this guy started promoting ham and eggs.
Yeah.
This restaurant had a special about it.
The other thing that he is well known for is the tobacco companies came to him also, Stephanie. They said that there were not enough women smoking cigarettes. And remember, this is like back in the 1920s and the 1930s. So what did he do, Professor Joy? He went to the top fashion people who were coming out with the latest designs and dresses and things like that for women. And he convinced them to come out with a color that would match the color of the cigarettes that they were promoting for women to sell.
Wow.
So if the cover of the cigarettes were green, green was the predominant color that was on sale that year. So women would make an
That
association.
connection.
Yes.
Wow.
You know, I got to tell you this about cigarettes, So, in early 70s, in 72, I got 4 projects for a Asia 72 exposition, So 4 pavilions, I was doing the graphics and informational stuff for them. So I always had these books which talked about ad campaigns and competitions. So I can distinctly remember 2 of the ads for cigarettes won the competition, first and second. The first was in Egypt, they had a cigarette called Abdullah. Okay, that's the name of the cigarette.
Okay.
And they had big billboard in the public park. The smoking is prohibited. Even Abdullah. The second one was Winston. Winston, again going back to the girls,
Right.
So Winston, and it was one of the major brands of cigarettes, So this guy comes up with a gimmick. And this is again based on the ad campaign and had the second prize. So they had regular cigarettes, then they had king size, which was 100 millimeter.
Right.
So they came up with a cigarette which was 101 millimeter. And this girl in Hilton lobby is telling everybody, mine is 1 millimeter longer than yours.
That's right. Yeah, that was the whole campaign. 70 millimeter.
What a brilliant ideas they come up with,
Yeah. For all the bad things.
Right.
Yeah.
Cigarettes.
Yeah. So, Professor Joy and Steffi, as you know, every week I try to present some additional research that talks about the topic of the day and everything. And this came from a peer-reviewed journal called the PubMed Central.
Oh.
The headline was, Healthy Food Choices Are Happy Food Choices. And it's evidence from a real-life sample using smartphone-based assessments.
Wow.
So the idea is that research suggests that healthy food choices such as eating fruits and vegetables have not only physical but also mental health benefits and might be a long-term investment in future well-being. And this view is in contrast with the belief that actually high-caloric foods taste better, make us happy, and alleviate a negative mood.
Oh.
And so what this experiment went through was testing, as a matter of fact, 12,000 people from Australia.
Wow.
Yes.
Australia.
12,000 from Australia.
Did you know Steffi is from Australia?
I did. That's why I looked right at her when I said that.
She's spying on you.
So the idea was that if you want to feel better, if you don't feel well, what do we go to? We go to chocolates. We
Right.
go to high-caloric foods.
Right.
We've talked about this
Right.
many times
Right.
and everything.
Yeah.
And this experiment tried to battle that notion by getting people instead to eat fruits and vegetables to make them feel better if they were feeling depressed or sad or things like that. And so they did this research over an 8-day period. And they found that when people were given the choice of having fruits and vegetables and given information that these are food groups that would make them feel better instead of the chocolates and the sugars and things like that, they actually took it to heart and felt better by putting more fruits and vegetables
Oh,
into their
really?
lives.
Interesting.
So you're telling me I should go eat some fruits and vegetables?
I am telling you that if you're feeling sad or unhappy and things like that, get an apple
Okay.
Don't go to chocolate
instead of chocolate.
and ice cream. This is what,
Yeah.
one of the very common things is when people are sad, they they go after the ice cream.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You do that?
Chocolate is nice.
Chocolate. Hers is chocolate.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that they got people to win over the idea that a comfort food can be fruit and vegetables, and that it doesn't have to be the pint of ice cream or the chocolate bar of your choice or things like that.
And fruit doesn't have to be boring. If you bake some apples and put some cinnamon, it actually tastes like apple pie.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, there's lots of interesting vegetables also.
Exactly.
That
You
can
know,
elevate your mood.
have you heard of Michael Moore?
Of course.
So Michael Moore did a documentary on foods. So after that documentary, because he had to research and incorporate all the food realities in the documentary. So they said, well, did it make any change in your life? You see, I started eating things called fruits and vegetables. Before that, he never ate that. He said that kind of gave me an idea.
Amazing. Amazing. So, people, eat your fruits and vegetables. It
Right.
will make you feel better.
Yeah.
Much better than chocolates and ice cream.
And not the comfort food.
Not the comfort food. Well, but let's get rid of that notion that chocolate and ice cream is a comfort food. Fruits and vegetables can be a comfort food as well.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
Well, the concept of food should not be just based on the taste. It should also be based on, is it good for your body or not?
You know, we talk about in the first chapter about the gut biome.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
You got to take care of the gut.
Thank you.
So that's it for this week.
Thank you
Come
so
back next week. I'm telling you, this is going to be a transformative time for all of us.
Right.
In these next 8 chapters that we talk about.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.